Oh, for f***. Every organism somehow needs to get its hands on energy. Being alive is an energetically expensive thing, whether it's me wandering around doing stuff or these plants around me here pumping minerals from the soil into their roots. We all need energy to survive. Now, some organisms, like these plants, have evolved ways of capturing the most predictable energy, the light that relentlessly comes into their ecosystems from the sun. Others, like you, me, and these, steal that energy by eating other organisms. So in today's video, we're going to try and measure how much of that energy is in the food that we eat. So, here is one of those organisms. In fact, these little discs of deliciousness are a combination of a few: the seeds of a wheat plant, the dried sweet sap of some sugarcane, and some fat from some cow's milk, plus a few other bits and pieces. But all the energy in this biscuit has come from other organisms. And it's written here on the packet, 2012 kilojoules per 100 grams. But have you ever wondered where that number comes from? How do we know there are 2012 kilojoules in every 100 grams of digested biscuit? Well, let's find out. So, the way we can do this in the lab is to release as much of this energy as we can all at once and measure that energy. And the easy way of doing that is to release it as heat. So we're going to burn the food, we're going to transfer that energy into a liquid, and we're going to use water and use the change in temperature of the water to calculate the energy in our sample. Sounds straightforward? Let's do it. Okay, results time. Now, our 20 centimeters cubed of water changed from 20 degrees to 37 degrees Celsius, a difference of 17 degrees. Now, every material has a property called a heat capacity. That's a set value, which is the number of joules of energy it takes to change the temperature of 1 unit of the substance by 1 degree. For water, that's 4.2 joules per gram per degree Celsius. Rearrange that, and the number of joules we transfer to the water is the mass of water, so 20, multiplied by the change of temperature, which is 17, multiplied by 4.2, or 1,428. Since we had a 2.83 gram sample, that scales up to 50,479 joules, or just over 50 kilojoules per 100 grams. That's a bit problematic though, because the value we calculated was just over 50, but on the packet it says 2012. So where did all that energy go? Well, to answer that, we need to have a look at our equipment. This is a great experiment to evaluate simply because there are so many sources of error. When we burnt our biscuit, for example, was all that energy released as heat? Well, no. The flame produced light too, which didn't go into the water. Did all the heat transfer to the water? Well, no, again, some went into the surrounding air or the glass of the tube. And when the sample finished burning, had all the energy been released? Well, again, probably not. There must be some energy in those leftover embers. And all of these things bring our result down and account for that massive difference, because in industry, they use a sophisticated piece of equipment called a calorimeter, which is essentially the same concept as what we have here, but sealed, insulated, and with various checks to make sure all the energy has been accounted for. So, not an ideal setup, but that's the concept of how we measure energy in a food sample. This is a required practical for GCSE biology, so I'm sure you'll get a chance to do this in the lab. So when you do, try to remember all the inaccuracies of that setup and think about how you could overcome them. That's all for today. Thank you for sticking with us. Do give us a like if you're into that sort of thing, and we'll see you next time.